special day. Our friend Jay is... I was saying that tonight is a very special night because our friend Jay is delivering his speech number 30. And this is really important because his 30th birthday just happened to be a few years ago. Jay is going to share with us, he's going to open up and share with us his experience on his most recent travel that actually changed him from the inside. And this is very important because Jay used to be a cold-hearted son of... Okay. I don't want to get too emotional in here, just get into Jay's speech. Mr. Jay Rao, ladies and gentlemen.
As many of you know, I just came back from an extended trip to Asia, where I spent a couple of months just cultivating and incubating my latest business venture, which is a travel company. And also I was in hiding from my enemy, the Canadian winter. Now, in this talk, it's supposed to be humorous. I've been known to do humor, so I'm going to cut down the humor and try to make it a little bit more meaningful. Just a bit of preamble. Most of the time that I spent in Asia, I spent in Vietnam, a place that I didn't really know much about before I got there. In fact, I was only planning on being there for like maybe a day or two. When I got there, what I realized was that my personal beliefs seemed to coincide quite a bit with the beliefs of the people there. Beliefs such as vegetarianism, meditation, and generally just leading a peaceful life. And so I decided to stick around, stay there for a couple of months, and just explore that connection. So in the next few minutes, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I learned on my travels in the East. When I got there, one thing that really was strange to me and really surprised me was something that I saw almost everywhere. On cars, on statues, on temples, everywhere. This. The swastika. I hadn't seen this many swastikas since my trip to India a couple of years ago. And I think you'll agree with me that when most people see this, they think of it as a sign of evil or just hatred. Now, this sign was made infamous by Hitler recently, but it's only partly true that he's the guy who actually really made it famous. You see, he took this ancient symbol from the Aryan people who've used it for thousands of years, and he used it to represent his mission of, you know what, and he tarnished its true meaning, just like he tarnished a look which would have suited me quite well. Unfortunately, I'll have to settle for this. Now, this ancient symbol of peace is thousands of years old. The word swastika itself is an ancient Indian word from the Sanskrit language, and it means to be good. It's a sacred symbol of auspiciousness in Hinduism and Buddhism, and all over the East, actually. The Aryan people who used the symbol were people that came from Central Asia, and they went east and they ended up settling along the way and ended up settling in North India, and also in places like Iran. And Iran is actually just a derivation of the word Aryan. And this is the path that they took. The people in the Middle East and in northern India are descendants of these people, as am I. And right now, if you go to any of the places in the Middle East, or especially further east, you'll see this symbol all over the place, and in India, it's a huge part of the culture. Now, getting back to Vietnam, what I learned when I got there is that over 80% of this country, of 88 million people, is mostly Buddhist. Here are some pictures of images that I saw on temples and statues. As I spent more time there, I got to learn about Buddhism. And I realized, you know, I'm already kind of a Buddhist at heart. I don't consider myself a religious man, but Buddhism isn't really about, it's not really a religion, it's more a way of life. In fact, there's no mention of God in this religion. It's more a way to live life in harmony with those around you so that the world can be a better place. A little bit about Buddhism for those of you who don't know much about it, as I didn't just about a year ago. The Buddha's real name was Siddhartha, and he was an Indian prince about 2,500 years ago. I'm going to take the liberty to call him Sid for short. Now, Sid lived a very sheltered life. And the reason for that is his father, the king, he heard prophecy when Sid was born. And that was that Sid was either going to become a very big spiritual leader or a great warrior. Now you can guess which one his father wanted it to be. And no, Sean, it's not the spiritual leader. So he actually was trained as a warrior. He excelled in martial arts and use of weapons and all those things. But he always felt there was something missing. And what happened was when Sid finally left the palace, I think he actually kind of snuck out and he saw the world around him. He saw three things that really changed him. And those three things were sickness, old age, and death. And these things changed everything about his way of thinking in life. See, this made him wonder, like, how can one live life when we know that this is in store for all of us living beings? Humans, animals, everyone. We're all going to get old, all going to die, and of course, in between, we're going to be sick. So he went in search of answers. And his father wasn't happy, but he couldn't hold him back. And that was the last time that his father ever saw him. He found these answers through three means: introspection, meditation, and through speaking with other people, especially other spiritual leaders. What he concluded was that life is mostly suffering. Not a very optimistic view of the world, but that's the conclusion he came to. And he went deeper and started to think, what could be causing this suffering? And the answer he came up with was desire. The desire for health, wealth, power, just want of anything and everything. The only way to relieve this suffering in life is to cease desiring things. Not an easy thing to do, but it's something that you have to constantly work on and remind yourself of. But the payback is that when you're finally able to cease desiring things, you reach a level of life that sets you free, and it's called enlightenment. That's me as a little boy. Now, enlightenment literally means to awaken. Awaken from seeing and focusing on the material things in the world, the things that don't matter, the false reality, and seeing the things that really do matter in the world. And he found, or he put together a path for doing that, and he called it the Eightfold Path. This path is about having the right view, the right intention, right speech, action, livelihood, effort, mindfulness, and concentration. During my time there, I began to realize that for the last few years, I've already tried to start on this path on my own. I've been trying to do some of these things without even knowing about this path. And I realized that a lot of the people that I met in Vietnam also were trying to do the same thing. And I made some pretty strong connections with people there. I find that here in North America, there seems to be a really strong focus on material objects, and everyone wants to have as much stuff as possible. People want things because they just want to feel better. They think that buying that next thing will make them feel better. You know, they want maybe the newest car, the latest gadget, you know, a wife, whatever. They just want things, and they think that it's going to lead to happiness. But the happiness that they get is very short-lived. And what do they want next? A new gadget, a new car, and a new wife. So it's only, for myself, it was only a few years ago when I pretty much felt that I had everything that I ever wanted, that I realized that I still wasn't happy. And that's when I started to really become a little bit more spiritual in life and look for things other than outside things to fulfill me. And so I made some changes, and that was actually around the same time that I joined Toastmasters, and actually joining Toastmasters was part of that change, because I wanted to connect with other people who also wanted to get more out of life and not settle for, you know, the status quo, and try to develop themselves to be more. So some of the changes I made besides Toastmasters were to, you know, start meditating, stop eating meat and other junk food. Most importantly, the most important thing I did was I shifted my way of thinking, and I've been trying to do this more and more, and that is, I shifted it from me to we. And I find that we is a more cooperative and non-competitive way of being. I mean, think about it. If you had 10 people stranded on an island, like, you know, Lost, or those older people out here, Gilligan's Island. You have 10 people stranded on an island, and every person is just thinking about themselves and how to take care of themselves. What's going to happen? Eventually, these guys are going to end up killing themselves. It's going to be like Lord of the Flies or something. But if you had a different mindset, and each person was thinking, how can I best serve everyone here so that we can make a go of this? If each person was thinking about the others, then you'd have 9 people thinking about you. And you wouldn't even have to think about yourself. You wouldn't have to worry about, you know, watching out for the other guy because you're all in competition for, you know, limited resources. It's an abundance mindset as opposed to a scarcity mindset. I find that in the East, it's a very natural way of thinking as opposed to here in the West. Here, me or I or being independent is praised, and it seems to be what's held up. I mean, everybody wants to be the best, everybody wants to be #1. And it's a competitive mindset. And it's not the way it is in the East, where people live in extended families and they have a bit more of a community-based way of thinking. Thinking this way and meditating to find some inner peace in this crazy world, I find it to be good for your mind and body, and it's also good for the people around you. And of course, it's not the easiest path, but then nothing easy is really that worthwhile. And it's only when you persevere through hardships that you actually get a worthwhile reward, and you can actually feel a sense of accomplishment. And of course, the longer you're on the path, it gets easier. It's like riding a bike or any new skill. And also, you can harness the incredible power of addiction or habit. You know, just try, you know, getting a buddy to stop smoking or drinking, or ask someone about how hard it is to quit drugs. Or save yourself some time and just ask Julian. And you'll see that it's once it's ingrained as a habit, it's really tough to break. I mean, for me, now it's extremely hard to stop eating the way I do properly and to be on this path. So all of the path, you know, living a good life, thinking right, working out, I can't stop doing it now. It just seems to be the way my life is. About the working out, you can see by the bulging muscles that I just can't stop. Of course, there may be other paths to living a good life, but they all boil down to the same basic things, and that is take good care of yourself and others, and this way everybody wins. I think all of us in our own way, we're trying to find that right path, that perfect path to live a good life and to have a good life. I can't say that I've actually found it or that I've already reached enlightenment, but since I am a guy who likes to travel, what I can say is that I'm really enjoying this journey. And as they say in life, it's not about the destination, but it is about the journey. Mr. Toastmaster.